global solution network is what we call knowledge networks. The primary function of a knowledge network is to develop new thinking, research, ideas, and policies that can be applied to solving global problems. The emphasis is on the creation, not the advocacy. Now, knowledge networks have been around for some time. We have had international scientific consortia, for example, in the past. But again, because the internet radically drops global transaction and collaboration costs, knowledge networks can now scale. They can scale to become something like Wikipedia or TED or the Khan Academy, which is basically tens of millions of people collaborating in the creation and dissemination and acquisition of knowledge. We can have something like Galaxy Zoo, where tens of thousands of amateur astronomers work with academics and civil society organizations, even the private sector, in mapping the galaxy. So imagine a world where ideas are not constrained by governments, corporations, universities, or other walled institutions, where the exchange of knowledge travels in multiple directions, heedless of privilege, power, politics. Imagine how quickly we could solve major world issues, and as important, issues that not only affect the remote, the poor, or the oppressed, but issues that affect everyone. Knowledge networks are at the center of all of the global solution network types. They provide collaboration, accessibility, and openness across political, stakeholder, disciplinary boundaries. They're both the incubators of new ideas and the origination points for new thinking, for dissemination of information to other networks in the world, and they're at the heart of a global knowledge economy. By leveraging technology to coordinate learning and to exchange information, knowledge networks create an open and accessible base of information and current research, and they also create a pathway to new policies. Another type of global solution networks, policy networks. How so? Well, the digital revolution basically allows these ideas to be shared, improved, shaped, enhanced by a multiplicity of users. Access is only part of the equation. Curation is a critical component in order to overcome the paradox of the wealth of information available online with few tools to access value or quality, and also to assess value and quality. So, examples. The Climate and Development Knowledge Network. Well, that's a group of sustainable development NGOs and other experts. It's called CDKN, and this connects experts on climate and sustainable development with governments and civil society groups. But it's not just an NGO. In fact, in this case, unlike NGOs, a professional services company, PricewaterhouseCoopers, operates CDKN. Now, this is kind of unusual, but it's in the spirit of our global solution networks, which are multi-stakeholder. And it now is widely considered to be a model for NGO government collaboration. It's sort of a silo-busting example of a group funded by government, acting as an NGO, and operated by one of the world's largest corporations. Now, when it comes to global knowledge, healthcare is obviously one of the most important areas for the application and benefits of these networks. Open Pediatrics. This is a knowledge network that improves the practice of pediatric medicine at the patient care level, where knowledge is often limited by the restricted reach of small institutions. The Global Network for Women and Children's Health is another knowledge network. It works around issues of infant and maternal mortality in areas of the world that lack infrastructure to have access to knowledge. Then we've got big breakthrough networks on the horizon. The Structural Genomics Consortium started as a partnership between the University of Toronto and Oxford University with some funding from the Government of Ontario. But it's now grown, and it develops research on pharmaceuticals and human health by connecting scientists to corporations and governments. It was initially difficult to convince researchers who compete for grants, and that's the old model that we have of doing research, to work in the open domain, but they've discovered the power of faster knowledge growth, and more these researchers are figuring out that a rising tide lifts all boats. And if we place a lot of global research, in this case about structural genomics, into a commons, that this benefits everyone. Knowledge networks seek to address the global problem of the lack of knowledge and its accessibility. They're not necessarily global, but they tend to be quite international. All solicit and depend on active participation from multiple stakeholders in whatever domain or area of expertise that's pertinent. And it's just hard to imagine a world without Wikipedia or projects like the Khan Academy, TED, or Galaxy Zoo. In the case of Galaxy Zoo, classifying millions of images of galaxies, this is a task that would have taken individuals over 100 years to complete. But this work is being done in a couple of years by actually a couple of 100,000 amateur astronomers. So work is now done faster, knowledge widens with lowered transaction costs and real-time collaboration. These massive networks have laid the ground for a new form of collective intelligence in some ways that's being applied to tackle the issues facing the world. Knowledge networks for a global knowledge economy.